Hello and happy Doctor Who Day. Yes, today is the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. And on that day, on BBC4, what they decided to do rather recently, because I'm literally not just long finished watching it, was release um, a color version and an edited down version of the second serial to be released for Doctor Who, The Dalek, written by Terry Nation. So, I'm not going to go too in depth on the plot, I'm mainly going to be focusing on what I thought of the colorations, the edits, and a few of the changes that they made to this serial. Because there was quite a bit of, they edited it down from like 7 parts to a solid 95 minutes worth of television. And yeah, so basically, just to give you the rundown of the plot of the episode, for those who are on the fence of watching it, or have never watched an episode of classic Doctor Who in their life, the Daleks is basically, the Doctor and TARDIS crew land on Skaro. They discover the city, but because the planet is like really big with radiation, they all got radiation poisoning. They investigate the city. They get captured by the Daleks, and then they go get the cure for the radiation. They manage to escape after the Daleks try to tick, trick the Thals into an alliance just to kill them by giving them food. And then the Doctor and Co escape. They realize they left an important component that makes the TARDIS fly in the city, so they get the Thals to agree to help to go stage a battle to go get the piece back and defeat the Daleks, and then the Doctor and Co are off on their merry way to the next uh, installment of the journey, which is the Edge of Destruction, which is only a two-parter, I believe. Anyway, what did I think of this colorization of this episode? Um, I loved it. There are some things that I did not like though, but I'll save that for later. The colorization that they've done for this episode was spectacular. It was really, really good. I was blown away by it. I was a little skeptical going into it. I'd only seen stills that they released in the lead up to this story, and I was like, okay, these look really, really good, but we haven't seen it, in motion. So I don't. I was a bit skeptical on how things were going to look. But yeah, it was done really, really well. I loved every bit of it, and as an edited down version of the 7 part serial, it was handled really, really well. Now, I obviously did not rewatch the original in the lead up to this, just because I didn't. The first time I watched this story was on the horror channel, and I gave up towards the end because it was so boring. It being 7 half-hour episodes. So this 95-minute done it justice. There's I seen on Twitter someone was saying that they edited like out a 15-minute segment that to like just a 2 minute segment, which uh is good in my opinion. So yeah, I really loved it. I loved seeing it in color. Finally getting to experience Skaro and the Daleks in color. At this time, for this version of it in color. Obviously, we've seen Skaro and the Daleks in color after this, but for this particular episode, it was done gorgeously. I loved looking at Bill Hartnell and seeing his costume in full color. Outside of the action figures that they released for him, and I was I loved it. I absolutely loved it because I've seen poor attempts at colorization for 60s Who, or more. Yeah, I think it was mainly 60s Doctor Who that I seen poor attempts at it, where the coloring just wasn't all there and all that. But whoever done it, the colorization, done it fantastically. So let's get on to the parts that I did not like, because there's a few. Um, the additional CGI scenes. Um, did not like those. Did not like those. I mean, it didn't add or take away to the story. They're just, there, and I just didn't like it. But the main gripe that I have, the main gripe that I have with this is the addition of music. You see, this story was filmed with a lot of the scenes with having no music or very little music. And then for this version of it, they went in and for certain scenes, they added music. And for a lot of those scenes, it did not work. It it took me out of the episode. I'd be engrossed watching it, and then Ian, the Doctor, and Susan meet the Daleks for the first time, and watching it outside of this episode, it's a fantastic scene. It's very, creepy and perfect, and then they ruined it with the music. They ruined it with the music, and it got so bad that you could barely even hear it. And they added in new effects for the extermination, which I'm still 50-50 on. Certain parts of it looks good, certain parts of it doesn't. It tries to mimic it tries to mimic, Dalek episodes that came out after this. It tried to mimic the same, effects that they'd done around this time as well, and they tried to make it more like modern Doctor Who as well. And like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. But yeah, no, the music, it was so loud in a lot of places where you just could not hear anyone. You couldn't hear anyone. And that was the issue because these scenes that they're adding music into weren't designed, they weren't shot around having music added. And that was this is my biggest gripe about this. I loved every moment of watching this on BBC 4, and but the music was just really, really bad. And certain scenes it worked. Don't get me wrong, certain scenes it worked. But you see, I went into watching this episode with one mindset, and that is this going to convince me to buy the Blu-ray next year? Because it is getting a Blu-ray release in February of next year, and I hadn't pre-ordered it like I did the Blu-ray for the 60th. Um, and yeah, I can definitely say after watching this, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to stick with the original in my collection. And yeah, that's just it. Like it did not convince me to go out and buy it on physical because like I said, there are parts that a lot of it I did like. It's basically the same episode just edited down. It's which isn't new for Classic Who. They done that when they were re-showing a lot of episodes. During the Wilderness years, they done it for the Five Doctors, where they edited the 4 episodes into like an hour long movie, and it worked there because they didn't add anything. They only subtracted things and made it like one massive coherent story instead of the 7 episodes or the 4 episodes. But this with the added of CG scenes and the addition of the music just made me not want to watch it. If they didn't do that and it was just the actual episode without that, I would have been on Amazon right away and pre-ordering it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this one a pass on adding it to my collection. But yeah, that's my that's my initial thoughts. Not long after watching the episode, this video is probably all over the place, but that's because I'm literally recording this as soon as I've finished watching the episode. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you watched it and what you thought. What were your thoughts on it? And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for my Terminator 3 review as the Tales from my backlog.